and welcome to this training video on setting up and using the ILS application on the AVX-10K flight line test set from Viavi Solutions. In this video, we will discuss the settings and procedures for ILS testing. And then we will review saving test generator data and viewing the results. After turning on your test set, open the navigation ribbon and select the ILS application. Before we look at the setup page, let's discuss the ILS instruments. The ILS application allows for 6 different instrument states. Tri-mode, where the localizer, glide slope and marker beacon are all enabled. Dual mode, where just the localizer and glide slope are enabled. And localizer only. Glide slope only. Marker beacon only. And lastly, all instruments off. There may be times when you are enabling instruments, and a pop-up screen appears. This is to help aid in the selection of one of these valid instrument states. Now, let's review all of the setup parameters. The RF port selection differs slightly from other instruments as it only has options for antenna and direct. There is no coupler testing option for the ILS instrument. RF power units can be set to dBm, or V for volts. The frequency input type can be either preset, channel, or variable. Preset provides a set of 3 fixed frequencies. Channel allows the selection of any on-channel frequency. VAR allows the selection of frequency in 1 kHz steps. Please note that the variable setting may not apply to every instrument mode. ILS units determines the localizer and glide slope deviation units in either DDM, difference in depth of modulation, or microamps. External attenuation allows for 0 to 22 dB of compensation for an external attenuator on the RF I/O connector. This is used for extending the power monitor rating and range. If the external attenuator is selected, the value is displayed on all mode screens in the external attenuation field under the RF level field. The Morse code field defines up to 4 characters that are transmitted when Morse is selected under the localizer setting on the main page. Autopilot sweep rate allows the localizer and glide slope DDM sweep rate to be set from 5 to 40 seconds, in 5 seconds increments. The frequency and RF power input method field determines if power selection inputs will be done with numeric steps or numeric entry. Numeric step allows the frequency and RF power fields on the main screen to be adjusted in step values. Numeric entry allows for any value in the defined range to be entered. When numeric entry is selected, the localizer, glide slope, marker beacon frequency step, and RF power step fields may be automatically enabled or disabled based on the instrument mode. Once you have completed the setup parameters, the next step is to adjust parameters, as needed, on the main page. All of the fields with a blue background can be modified, and localizer, glide slope and marker beacon can be turned off and on. Marker beacon is only available by itself, or in tri-mode, with all instruments turned on. Dual mode will be reflected in the title bar when just localizer and glide slope are turned on. If just one instrument is turned on, the title bar will reflect that as well, and the RF power can be controlled for just that instrument. Please note that the output is always active and changes in accordance with the settings. Localizer can be set to on, tone, Morse, or off. Tone will output a continuous tone, and Morse will output the characters defined in setup, and will be sent out every 37 seconds. Glide slope can be toggled on or off, and marker beacon can be set to off, outer, middle, or inner. Clicking on the O, M, I indicators will also control the marker beacon. The title box will change depending on which features you have enabled. For example, with everything turned on, the title will say ILS tri-mode. The available fields on the main page will also change, based on the enabled features. However, we will focus on controls in ILS tri-mode. The dev step field can be toggled between fixed and variable and will affect both the localizer DDM and glide slope DDM fields. The localizer and glide slope frequency fields can be adjusted. The adjustment values will depend on the frequency input type selected as defined in the setup. The RF power for the glide slope signal can be controlled as well. This is the case for both dual mode and tri-mode conditions. To control individual instrument power, just that instrument must be enabled. Localizer and glide slope DDM offset can be controlled with the fields and arrow keys, or by clicking on the associated bars in the display. If dev step is set to fixed, the bars will snap to the closest associated value. The master mod adjustment screen will pop up a screen with sliders for adjustment. The displayed field will vary based on the state of the localizer, glide slope, and marker beacon. The tone delete field allows for the deletion of the 90 Hz tone, the 150 Hz tone, or both. This selection can be for both the localizer tone and the glide slope tone if both are enabled. The autopilot test will cycle through values of localizer and glide slope offsets and can be controlled by the max deviation controls. The center deviation button will zero any fields that have been modified, moving them back to their normal settings. Here is an example of the ILS test in progress. And now we see the autopilot test running. ILS settings can be saved by clicking the Save Data button at the bottom of the screen. Once pressed, users can enter a settings name, job ID, and when used, a work order ID. Settings can be recalled by going to the Settings page and clicking Recall Settings.